Biofuels are seen by many as a promising path to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from shipping, due to both their availability today and because many biofuel types have a potential drop-in capability on board conventional ships designed for fuel oil. As illustrated in our recent white paper on biofuels, in 2023, the global supply of liquid biofuels, primarily FAME, HVO, and ethanol, was about 111 million tons of oil equivalents, or MTOE. Production of biogases, meanwhile, amounted to around 41 MTOE. Out of the global liquid biofuel supply, we estimate that shipping share was around 0.6%, or 0.7 MTOE, with the majority of supply going towards road transportation. From bunker sales data from Singapore and Rotterdam, we have seen a significant growth in sales of bio-blended bunker fuels the last few years. This growth is expected to continue as greenhouse gas regulations incentivizing use of biofuels enter into force. I'm joined here today by Johannes Schürmann, Commercial Director of FincoEnergies, a major supplier of biofuels to the marine market today. Johannes, I have prepared a few questions I would like to ask you. First, could you please tell us about FincoEnergies' operations? What biofuel products are you supplying? Where and how much do you supply? And who are your main customers in general?
Yeah, thank you, Oyvind, for the introduction. So we, FincoEnergies, are a physical biofuel supplier based in ARA. So we supply biofuels out of the ARA region. In terms of types of product, we have three types of biofuel products, biodiesel products, I have to say, that we can supply today. HVO in terms of highest quality. FAME, most familiar biofuel out there for many shipping companies, and a more residual-based biofuel that we introduced back in 2018. We have the license to supply biomethanol as well, but we see quite a low demand for that. In terms of volume we supply, we are looking at roughly 100 KT of biofuel, pure biofuel we do today, meaning if we supply, for example, a 30% blend, you need to divide that number by 0.3 to get the total volume.
And how about the marine biofuel market today? Do you get strong demand signals from ship owners, and how has this evolved over the past few years?
Today we see quite some demand for biofuels, and the main reason today is basically the implementation of FuelEU Maritime, which started this year. We see many different smaller and bigger shipping companies that want to comply with FuelEU and that see biofuel as one of the potential options to comply. Looking back at the past, in 2023, CII was implemented. We expected quite a lot from CII because if you make a model basis, what companies need to consume to comply with the C rating of CII, they need to consume actually quite a lot of biofuel. However, because there's no penalty of CII, we didn't see much demand so far from this legislation. Looking further back, beyond 2023, the consumption of biofuel was mainly driven by the voluntary market, meaning shipping companies that wanted to consume biofuels for their own sustainability targets, or cargo owners pushing for the use of biofuels so that they can claim green transport for their cargo.
What are the key risks that you see as a biofuel supplier on expanding your marine bunker operations today?
The main risk is that if demand falls away, and demand falls away, that can lead that we don't get our money back on the investments we make. So if we would invest in our logistical setup, in new terminals, barges for other products like methanol, and demand falls away, we lose those investments, of course. So what is important for us is that legislation remains consistent. If we have consistent legislation, then we know for X years going forward that demand will be there, that shipping companies will come to ARA to bunker biofuel. What we have seen in the recent years is that legislation, both on national level and international level, was not always consistent, and therefore demand was fluctuating, and that is killing for fuel suppliers if they want to invest in new technologies.
Getting to our last question now, Johannes. What do you see as the most important drivers for biofuel demand? And how do you see the biofuel market developing over the next 5 years? Do you think that use of book and claim systems, allowing green transport services to be offered based on certificates, do you consider that that these might help to boost demand for biofuels?
Yeah, so on the legislative side, not many will change, I expect, in the coming 5 years. So we today have ETS and FuelEU coming from the European Commission. Unfortunately, the target of FuelEU remains 2% until 2029. ETS cost will go up a bit for shipping companies, meaning that the spread between bio and fossil is getting slightly smaller, but it's not enough to cover the gap. So from the legislative side from Europe, I don't think there will be much more push. Then the question is what happens with the IMO? Will CII bring more push? Will there be another, like a global fuel standard pushing for sustainable fuels? Will there be a global carbon levy implemented in the coming 5 years? All those questions need to be answered to understand whether there will be a legislative push. Then you have the voluntary market, so the market pushed by the shipping companies themselves, by banks, by cargo owners. And then the big question is, what are the rules of those voluntary markets? May you use the fuels, the biofuels that you needed for the mandatory market, may you use them as well for the voluntary market? That concept is called additionality. If you know a lot about book and claim systems, most of them say that if you want to sell emission reductions in the voluntary market, they need to be additional on things that would happen anyway. If the shipping industry will follow this additionality requirement, then the voluntary market can be a massive driver for the increase in sustainable fuels in shipping. But the rules are not yet accepted by all shipping companies. They are not harmonized among all the shipping companies using green fuels.
Thank you very much for joining us here today, Johannes. Handing back to the studio now.